Today on Locked On Mavs, the Mavericks beat the Pistons.
We gotta win! Woo!
We'll talk about the Lakers, talk about the standings, all that coming up right now.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor at Mavs.com, Piston-powered person, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
I'm just glad that we beat a team we're supposed to beat. It's that feeling. It's good to have that feeling inside. But they made a starting lineup change. We talked about this over the past few days, and especially after Rick Carlilse's comments after practice a few days ago. And then on yesterday's podcast, we speculated on three different options. We said Josh for Brunson, Josh for Redick, or Maxey for Dwight Powell. And that the third option was the option that actually happened.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the standings. We are recording this during the Denver-Portland game. I have it on over to my my that way, whichever way is that for you guys. So they're tied with 4 minutes to go, but we'll keep you updated on that, even though it'll be way after the fact. And then we're going to preview the Lakers 2-game series coming up. Huge games that we've been talking about for a long time. So we're going to preview that in the third segment. But this episode is brought to you by Locker Room. Download the app and join us today, sometime on Thursday, on the Locker Room app. Just follow me, Nick Van Exit. Follow Isaac L. Harris. And whenever we go live, you will be notified. Locker Room, changing the way we talk sports. All right, Isaac Harris. So the Dallas Mavericks get the win, 127 to 117, 10-point win. Feels about right because it was up and down. The Pistons had a pretty good hold over the game at the beginning. It felt like the whole first half, it almost seemed like they had the lead, got it to a 7-point lead, but it somehow felt like it was 20, right? Like when it's a bad team and they're up by 7 or so, and they just hold on to it. It seems like such a bigger, it seems like such a bigigger deficit. But then all of a sudden you realize, oh yeah, this is like 2 baskets away from being a 1-point game, or a basket and then a 3-4 point play away from being a tie game. And then the Mavs made a big change. We talked about the starting lineup change, but during the game, they made a change to zone, and that really worked for them. And then the Mavericks took the lead after that and basically held the lead the whole rest of halftime, and then ran up the score a little bit at the end. And then the Pistons. This is such a physical team, man. Like Beef Stew, aptly named. That guy is aptly named. Mason Plumlee fouled out in this game. An incredible thing happened in this game. I saw Bobby Carralla mention this. 3 players fouled out in 3 consecutive possessions. It was Porzingis, and then it was Mason Plumlee, and then it was Willie Cauley-Stein fouled out in 3 consecutive possessions. That was pretty wild to see. But it was a really physical game. A lot of moving parts happened. Let's start with the starting lineup, though. What do we think about the change with Dwight Powell? Carlisle, after the game, mentioned that he basically just wanted to do it to give a jolt of energy into the starting lineup, which is what you do with Dwight Powell. You bring him in, and this is a game that you can kind of play Dwight Powell and get away with it a little bit. And then he said, going forward, the lineup's going to be fluid. What did you think about the actual lineup? And then what do you think about that comment that it's going to be fluid?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like it changed everything in the world. He only played 11 minutes. So I think some people who might not have watched the game could sit there and say, all right, Dwight starting means he played 35 minutes tonight. That wasn't the case. He played 11 minutes. So 11 minutes and 26 seconds to be exact. So
that's everything? That doesn't change the whole world?
Well, unless it's Josh Green. But when Dwight is in there, he does give this team, like, there is this energy factor. Now, I think they did still lose the first quarter, and Jeremy Grant torched them in the first quarter, but
he had 15 in the first.
But it's what Rick said a few days ago. He was approaching this of saying, "Hey, everything's on the table," and we've seen a bunch of smaller changes tonight. Dwight Powell in the starting unit playing 11 minutes. We've seen the zone be, thrown out there. We've seen Willie Cauley-Stein get, 13 minutes tonight. We've seen JJ Redick get 12 minutes tonight. And his minutes have kind of been fluid, but
I think that the Willie Cauley-Stein thing was because Maxey went out. We should say Maxey went out with an injury. He only played 13 minutes in this game. It doesn't look like he's going to be available for the Lakers game after that hard fall. He went and had an x-ray and all that, came back negative for anything, serious, but it was a pretty hard fall right on his back. I mean, this Pistons.
Rick said it's a substantial bruise. So
yeah.
I would not expect Maxey definitely in this next Lakers game, maybe even on Saturday, but we'll have to see the extent of that.
Yeah. All that to say that I think that's why Willie Cauley-Stein got some extra run.
Yeah. I could see that, but I could also see him getting a few minutes here and there moving forward. I think the biggest thing of Rick saying, go back to your question, what do we take away from this could be fluid? I just think we have to take him for his word on everything's on the table. Like what was set in stone before, rotation wise and starting unit wise, I think they're approaching it saying, all right, now we have to unpack the car, and now we have to pack the car in and back in and say, all right, what fits now, but what are we also going to leave outside of the car? I saw that metaphor from a friend of mine named Scott. So
there's been the Mavericks had a ton of different lineups last season. I remember that they started a bunch of different lineups. It seemed like it was fluid at times, and they never really settled. They settled at least a little bit in the playoffs when they had Seth Curry starting and all that. But they tried a bunch of different lineups and changed stuff up a bunch. Seth Curry would start some. You'd have Brunson would start a bunch. You'd have Tim Hardaway would start, and then he wouldn't. And then they would stick to something for a while. Dwight Powell would start, and then he wouldn't. So they tried a bunch of stuff last year. And this season, it's been pretty consistent. And that starting lineup, I thought, has been pretty good. But it did need a little bit of a jolt. And Maxey, even before this injury, he did not look right. Like his defense wasn't on the same level that it normally has been. And so I think that he probably needs a break or needs a rest. He's probably dealing with some stuff. But since the Mavs need to win some games, they need him. He's so important for this Mavericks team. Yeah. And so he went out and with an actual injury now, like a real one that he's probably gonna be out with. And so Dwight coming in, you can get away with that against this Pistons team. But I mean, we'll talk about the Lakers in a little bit. They're gonna have Anthony Davis back, and it doesn't seem like that's gonna be something you can just throw Dwight Powell out there. And that's why I think he said it was fluid, because they're going to try different stuff. Maxey might be out for a little bit, and so they'll throw some lineups in there. And they did have Josh Richardson close the game too, I noticed. So yeah, that's something maybe that they're trying to do and trying to change. Do we want to talk? Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're a plus-minus guy.
Which apparently Derek Harper is not. Does not know what it means. All the times Rick Carlilse has talked about plus-minus, and I know Followell has talked about single-game plus-minus on the broadcast. Derek Harper on the Mavs broadcast was like, plus minus. I don't even know what that is. Maybe less. I love Harp just for those moments. Like every once in a while, you're like, how do you not know this? You're not older than Wilt Chamberlain. You know what I mean? Like
Harp openly questioning Willie's decision to ask out of the game. It's like, I would never do that. And
the other thing from Derek Harper was he played with Kobe Bryant.
Yeah,
so wild. Like that blew my mind. I kind of like I knew that in the back of my head, but to go back and look at Basketball Reference and see a 37-year-old Derek Harper on the Lakers in his last season playing with a 20-year-old Kobe Bryant is like, what? Yeah. Like that just blows your mind.
Harp just feels so much longer ago.
Oh, what did you say it again for those in the back?
But. Yeah, Dwight being in the lineup, that obviously changed a little bit in the beginning. But the zone thing, I'm so intrigued with the zone. Was the zone like a gimmick type thing? Was it just a Detroit thing? Was this a desperation thing? Or is this hey, we're going to be Syracuse 2.0 in the NBA moving forward because this is our last option?
I have some thoughts on that. We'll also talk about Saddiq Bey a little bit too, because that was a big draft story, and we saw him again in this game. So we'll talk about that, get into that. Then in the third segment, talk about this Lakers game coming up tonight on Thursday. If you're listening and watching this, we'll talk about that. But before we do, Let's talk about Theragun. Don't let the stress of daily life weigh on your body, whether it's an elite athlete or someone obviously like me who is not. I'm offended the way that Theragun wrote this ad. Just trying to make it through the day tension-free. Theragun can help. Theragun is the handheld percussive therapy device that releases your deepest muscle tension using a scientifically calibrated combo of depth, speed, and power. And it's quiet as an electric toothbrush. Whether you want to treat your muscle tension from working out, an injury, or the stress of an everyday life, there's no substitute for the Theragun Gen 4. The OLED screen and design make you feel like you're holding something from the future. Just go to their site and check it out, Theragun.com. And the Theragun app learns from your behaviors and suggests guided routines. Theragun is trusted by 250 professional sports teams like Real Madrid, athletes like Paul George, DeAndre Hopkins, Maria Sharapova, hundreds of thousands of customers, and us. Try Theragun for 30 days starting at only $199. Go to Theragun.com/lockedon right now. Get your Gen 4 Theragun today. That's Theragun.com/lockedon. Theragun.com/lockedon. Also want to tell you about the Locked On Ultimate Mock Draft. Just search Ultimate Mock Draft wherever you get your podcast. This is an absolutely incredible endeavor that Locked On has done. They're partnering with Odyssey. They're doing a mock draft the same way we do the NBA mock draft. Each host picks for their team. They did trades. They did all kinds of stuff. And we're in day 4, I think, now on Thursday, if you're listening to this. Ross Jackson did an incredible job. Michael Irvin is part of it. Jason Lockenfora is part of it. Some of the, Brian Peacock and Matt Williamson from Locked On shows are a part of it. It's absolutely incredible. Follow and subscribe to the Ultimate Mock Draft wherever you get your pods. All right, Isaac Harris. So the starting lineup change we talked about, we got into it. Now this zone change. So the Mavericks were down by 7 with 8 minutes and 8 seconds left to go in the second quarter. And then they switched to this zone. And when teams switch to a zone, to me, it's like, what do people always say about a zone? Shooting can break a zone, right? And so they're kind of betting on these Pistons shooters to not be able to break it. I also kind of think,
and Dennis wasn't playing, so that's one thing to point out, that they didn't have him as a shooter out there.
The zone is also something that makes me think, if a team is not playing cohesively, then you can put a zone out there so everyone kind of knows where they're supposed to be. Right? Because to be a switching team, you have to be such a really good communicating team. You have to know where somebody is. That's why, the Warriors are able to do it, because they were together for so long. The Nuggets just beat the Blazers, by the way. So
I had this game pulled up. Now you just ruined it, Nick. You spoiler alert person.
Standings update. We'll talk about it. I'm not spoiling it for anyone listening, though. This is like hours after the fact.
But you spoil TV shows on this pod all the time.
One time, and no one's ever talked about it since.
Shout out to that guy who blew up our DMs that time, like literally using some not family-friendly words at us because Nick
really
spoiled
mad.
The end of a TV show, a random TV show at that.
13 Reasons Why, season 2, not even season 1, season 2. I spoiled for him, and I just tried to warn him not to watch it. So I saved that guy. But a team switches. I think a team goes to zone when everybody kind of knows how zone works, and you don't have to be that good of a communicating team to play a zone. You have to communicate in some senses, but not as much as you would if you're a switching team. So I think they switched to this. I don't know if they're going to keep doing it. I don't think you can do it against most teams in the NBA, but against this Pistons team, I think you can get away with it.
Yeah, I think that's where I land. If they roll out zone against the Lakers, like from opening tip tonight, then I'll be really intrigued. But that's my whole thing, is I just wonder what it looks like moving forward. If this is just something in their back pocket to pull out in random moments, or if this is they've
done it throughout this season too. I mean, this is not the first time they've done it. But it's
more random though.
Right. They've done it randomly throughout. Like if they just need a different look on defense, if something's not working, all of a sudden they'll throw a zone out there. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And so this happened to be a time where it did work. And so they just kept doing it for almost the whole rest of the game.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Saddiq Bey, because I mean, we're going to do a little bit of a victory lap here on draft night. Before draft night, all the pre-draft stuff we did, Saddiq Bey was our number one guy that we were like, let's get Saddiq Bey if they can find a way. And we didn't really even think that he was going to be available for the Mavericks, but we thought that was the guy. And then Desmond Bane was our other guy that we were really high on, we really liked. And we said, if there's a way that they can come away with Saddiq Bey and Desmond Bane, that would have been an incredible draft. And they could have probably done that. They got the extra pick. They probably could have traded up one spot with Memphis to get Desmond Bane there at 30, and they didn't do it. What did you think about Saddiq Bey in this game throughout the season? Maybe is it something that you still regret or wish the Mavs had done differently?
Well, of course, yes.
I teed it up for you. I just put it up.
Yes, and I just smacked the heck out of that ball because yes, I wanted Saddiq Bey going into this. And, I want him now after the fact. We're obviously saying this hindsight at the same time because we just don't see Josh Green play that much. And now, would Saddiq play? Bey?
Would Bey play?
Yeah, would Bey play?
Our Bey's not play.
We missed just such a golden opportunity to have Bey and Bey. And that was my only, that's another added thing to this. We could have had both of our rookies could have been Bey and Bey, in addition to Ty Terry. But no,
Hurricane Chris Mavs.
I love Saddiq Bey. 11 points on the season. He's shooting right at 38% on 6 threes a game from 3. And the games that I have seen him play for Detroit, he hit a 3 in the first quarter tonight, and it was kind of off the dribble too. It wasn't just a catch and shoot 3. I'm like, dang it. But I like him, and I like, I talked to an assistant coach for Villanova that I'm friends with, and he was just hyping up Saddiq Bey, and he has connections to Dallas and stuff too, and I just wanted Saddiq Bey on the Mavericks, and I'm bummed that he's not here. And I think Saddiq Bey is going to be next Kawhi Leonard? No, but I think he's going to be a very valuable player for good teams moving forward. And it's a bummer that he's not in Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he totally should have been. I think. No offense to Josh Green. Still have hopes for him to be a solid NBA player, but you can see the skills of Saddiq Bey where we just don't with Josh Green right now. It's going to take a little bit longer for Josh Green. You can see Saddiq Bey can put it on the deck a little bit. You can see that he's got a little bit of playmaker in him that he can do. The shooting is obviously way more advanced than what Josh Green is doing right now. So that's the stuff where you're like, dang, you really think he could play for this Mavs team? But again, the question is, would Rick Carlilse have played him? And so I don't know. I don't think so.
I like this. I like this Detroit team too. Not really the collection together, but I like the ingredients separately. I like Saddiq Bey. I like Isaiah Stewart. How did
Isaiah Stewart only play 16 minutes? It felt like he was out there the whole game.
Yes, he fouled the crap out of Luka on that oop. But
can we talk about the lob? So Luka almost got a lob in transition from Jalen Brunson, and they both commented after the game on it. Jalen Brunson throws it up for Luka, and the only person between Jalen Brunson and Luka and not even the rim, between Luka and Jalen, was Isaiah Stewart, who is a big man. He's a center, but he is not 7 feet, right? He is probably 6'8" on a good day. He is like Jason Maxiell 2.0, DeJuan Blair 2.0, whatever you want to call him.
I love that guy.
And so in midair, Jalen throws up the lob. And if you're any normal player, you would just probably let it go, right? You just step back. This is a lost cause. But Isaiah Stewart lays out like a defensive back, just lays out completely for this. Falls down. He laid out so backwards. Yeah. He laid out so hard. Hits Luka in the air, and then Luka kind of falls over. We all collectively held our breath on it.
Yeah, almost didn't like him anymore, but
almost. He was almost on the Patrick Beverley, Russell Westbrook list for us. And then he breaks up the lob. Luka could have finished it maybe if the pass was just a little bit different, but I think the impending collision with Isaiah Stewart really messed him up on this. So that was just a wild play. But after the game, Tim Cato asked Jalen Brunson about it, and Brunson said, Luka said I should throw it higher. That he should throw it higher on the transition.
Luka's comment was the best.
Luka's comment after, I'll probably put it at the end of the podcast, was I was feeling the bunnies tonight. Yeah, he should have thrown it higher. I was feeling the bunnies tonight. Luka was going to throw down an alley-oop. It would have been the funniest looking alley-oop. Not as funny as Dirk in the All-Star game, but still would have been a pretty funny alley-oop. But Isaiah Stewart messed it up, and he almost was on the he was almost on the list.
I just like some of the pieces. I like Killian Hayes, even though he didn't play tonight. I like Jeremy Grant. I think Mason Plumlee's a serviceable role player. I think he's overpaid, but I just like a lot of their guys. And Saban Lee, caught a body tonight.
What is going on with Corey Joseph against the Mavs? Is he the DJ Augustine now?
I'm not a huge fan of Corey Joseph, but
he always torches the Mavs.
Yeah, he torched the Mavs. He would have been a nice buyout for somebody if he got one.
Yeah, instead he gets traded, and now he's with the Pistons. And I've even seen Pistons fans upset about Corey Joseph and Frank Jackson because they're helping him win them games. And I said during the game, I said, man, if the Mavs if they do lose this game, they'll upset both fan bases, which would have been pretty funny. All right, coming up, let's talk a little bit about standings, then get into the Lakers game. Lots of stuff to talk about that. We'll get into it coming up. But before we do, betonline.ag is your one-stop shop to put down some money on some sports. If you need a little bit more to get in on the action, if you need just a little bit of an incentive, I guess, then put some money down on some basketball. You have all kinds of stuff with betonline.ag. Let's see. These are the games they have up for tomorrow. They have the Pelicans versus the Magic. Pelicans a 7.5-point favorite against the Magic. I wouldn't do that. Take the Magic. You have to cover 7.5 points. This Magic team tries hard. They play teams well. They get blown out every once in a while, but I would go with the Magic on this one because
give me the Pelicans on that one.
They only have to lose by 7, and you can still cover this. The other one is the Bulls versus the Hornets, 3-point favorite. The Bulls are a 3-point favorite. I don't know about that one either. I'm questionable about that. The Bulls have not played well at all since the All-Star break. Those are my two that I think about. So BetOnline, use the promo code LOCKEDON, get a 50% welcome bonus to your first deposit. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Also want to tell you about rockauto.com. We have so many one-stop shops, but this is really the one-stop shop for all kinds of auto parts. You can go and you can get any part that you need right now. Go to rockauto.com and put Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box? You can see all the parts. Let's see. I'll pull the website up for everybody on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can, let's see. If you have an Audi, I don't have one of those, but if you have a 2021, an A4, you can check out all kinds of stuff. Look at that. For it. This is the way that it's laid out. If you have a Buick, boom, Buick, find the year. You can go all the way back to, holy cow, 1912. You can go all the way back to 1912. They have parts that are available for those kinds of cars. So check it out, rockauto.com. They have all the prices available for you. You can, they have prices are the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers.
Hart drove a Buick back then when he watched Wilt.
Yeah, right in locked on in there. How did you hear about us box? Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into the standings a little bit. So the Blazers lose to the Nuggets. Thank you, Nikola Jokic, future MVP of this league. Now the Mavericks are a half game back from the Blazers.
Yay, let's talk standings again.
You were the one bringing up standings last time, and I was the one that poo-pooed it. The Mavericks are now a game and a half above the, let's see, did the Clippers Memphis game end? It did. It just ended. The Clippers beat the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Clippers played this lineup, Isaac. Let me tell you about this lineup. Amir Coffey, and it gets worse.
Whoa.
Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris, Zubac, and Luke Kennard. That was their starting lineup against this Memphis team. That's got to be Mavs related in some way, right? They don't want to play the Mavs. The Clippers ended up winning that game.
Yeah.
So they went
I don't think it's Mavs related. I don't think the Clippers.
You don't think so?
No.
That they would rather have Memphis get to the Mavs spot and play Memphis instead?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
I thought you meant they were trying to dodge Dallas by trying to lose to move down in the standings.
But by helping Memphis win.
Yeah, helping Memphis.
That's the reason.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they beat them. So I don't.
This is the Batum came off the bench. Patrick Patterson played 13 minutes. DeMarcus Cousins played 14 minutes for them, and our boy Yogi played 20 minutes for him off the bench.
Yogi.
But yeah, so then Memphis loses, and so the Mavericks are now, there should be 2.5 games ahead of them now, or 2 games ahead of them. But what would you rather do? This is the would you rather question. Would you rather be in 6th and not have to play in the play-in and play the Clippers, or stay in 7th, have to play the play-in, and play either the Suns or the Jazz? Which would you rather do?
Option A. Yeah, I'd rather just put me in the playoffs, and I'll take on the Clippers.
You'd rather play the Clippers than in the end game than the Suns or Jazz. Because it seems like most fans, we did the thing yesterday where we said, who would you rather play? Rank the opponents. And the Suns and Jazz, after the Nuggets, were like the next two options. Nobody wanted to play the Clippers or the Lakers. Some people were like, bring on the Clippers. We'll beat them this year. But the Jazz and the Suns were the top two after the Nuggets, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, in a non-play-in tournament world, then yeah, I would say let's finish 7th or 8th and play our odds with Utah or Phoenix. But I just don't like playing the odds in a dumb play-in tournament. I don't want to say.
I can't believe you hate this so much. It's going to be so fun.
I'm never doubted the fun. It's going to be fun. I just think it's super dumb, and I don't like it for the league. But
hey,
I don't.
You know what? The league isn't entertainment. Right? Like, it's not to help these teams win games. It's
and you know what would be really entertaining? Just putting all of the teams in there and just
it would not.
One big tournament.
Your slippery slope argument does not work with this.
So, okay, yeah, 2/3 of the league in a postseason format.
It's not. They're playing a play-in to get into the postseason.
I wonder how much it costs to print off participation ribbons.
I can't believe you think that.
But no, I would rather just be in the top 6 to where I actually make the playoffs. I'm guaranteed a playoff series. Let's just do this thing. Let's play the Clippers again. Hopefully, we're fully healthy.
By the way, the participation trophy is the revenue share that comes to those teams that suck and don't pull in a lot of money after the season. They get that check. That's their participation trophy.
Yes. But I don't want any part of Steph Curry in a play-in game. I don't. And
no.
If I would much rather have an actual playoff series instead.
So then they can get to 6 and they can do it like coming up, right? Like they can get to that spot pretty easily now. They're half game back from the Blazers. And if they can get that spot and hold it, the Blazers haven't played that well. Mike Richmond, Locked On Blazers host, just keeps saying, like, people keep talking about the Blazers, and he's like, this team isn't good. Like, everyone keeps wanting to talk to me about the Blazers, but I think the Mavs and the Blazers kind of feel the same way. Like, everyone talks about our team as, oh, they're the sneaky team. You don't want to play Luka, don't want to play Dame in a playoff series, but these teams aren't good. And I think the Mavs and the Blazers are kind of on the same page with that.
Now, I'm saying what I would prefer. I don't know what Dallas and Portland would prefer. I was joking with you earlier. I'm like, could we see like a tank off between Dallas and Portland at the end of the year? Where, like, hey, let's get the 7th. Because reminder, the 7th plays the 8th. And if Memphis finishes as the 8th seed, then
they just got Jaren Jackson Jr. back, by the way, so they'll probably.
Yeah, true. But it's like if you feel more confident playing Memphis than you would playing like Golden State in a play-in tournament, if you feel pretty confident in that, you're playing with fire. But if you're like, hey, we're fine at 7, let me just take my chance. I think we can beat Memphis in one game. Then you're locked into 7, and then you're locked into Phoenix or Utah. So if that's the route they want to go, I don't know. But I think it'll be telling, if it's at the end of the season and they're like one loss away, and then, one or two of those guys sit.
But that Thunder game, though.
Oh, here we go. But no, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. And everything starts with this, these 2 games against the Lakers. As the injury report going into that game, we have Marc Gasol is questionable. Anthony Davis is officially questionable, but everything points to him playing in that game.
He's probably going to play 15 minutes.
Good. Hopefully it's less. Markieff Morris, Schroeder, Andre Drummond. That should be a fun night on NBA, on Mavs Twitter.
Lakers fans have fully turned on Drummond already. How many games has it been with Andre Drummond?
Guys, honestly, you need to look up some Lakers bloggers, media people talk about Andre Drummond.
Make sure they're real though. Check their photos. Make sure they're not photoshopped. Listen to their voice
I've seen podcast. Nick. I've seen Nick in person. So Nick was at my house.
And I'm on video now. That's the other thing is that Lakers podcaster didn't do videos.
As far as who is still.
Drummond has played 7 games for the Lakers. Lakers fans have fully turned on him already.
Oh, they're so out on him. But then also it's about who's not playing for the Lakers too. And they have a vet, 10 plus years in the league. Huge difference for their team that's going to be out. Jared Dudley's still out.
I love Jared Dudley. You know this about me. Jared Dudley, I'll host your podcast. Locked on. Let us know.
Also, LeBron's still out too. And that's big. So
it's a big, and we speculated. I mean, when he first went out, it was 3 to 4 weeks, and 4 weeks would have taken him right to this date. We were thinking that LeBron was going to be the one just coming back instead of Anthony Davis. And so this is good news for the Mavs. I know I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, oh, it's just the Mavs' luck that Anthony Davis comes back for this game, but at least LeBron's not. This Lakers team, since LeBron has gone out, and Anthony Davis has been out this whole time too, they're 7-9, and they have a -1 net rating. They're like just a 500 team without him. They have Schroeder still. They have Montrezl Harrell. They're gonna have.
They play great defense.
They play really good defense still. What's their defense since then? They've had the 4th best defense since LeBron has been out. Among all the teams, they have had not the best offense. They have had the 28th offense according to offensive rating, points scored per 100 possessions. So their offense is worse than the Cavs, the Pistons. It's worse than the Hornets, the Bulls. Wizards, by the way, have had a really bad offense recently, which is kind of interesting. But so this Lakers team does not score that much. So the Mavericks defense is going to be okay. All you have to do is outscore them, which is how you win basketball games. But all you have to do is basically, if the Mavericks can put together a couple of 35-point quarters or 30-point quarters, I think they'll be okay.
Did they start AD with Drummond?
Man, that's the question. I think so. I think that they promised Drummond some stuff.
Yeah.
To get him.
So then it's Dwight and KP.
Yeah. What do the Mavs do? I mean, do they start Boban? That'd be kind of a disaster, but because if Maxi's not going to play, we've seen Maxi on AD before. They can't start Willie did not play well in this Pistons game, guys. I'm fully out on Willie Cauley-Stein. I saw a couple of people tweet, it's still good to have Willie Cauley-Stein back. Is it that good? That's my question. But what do they do? I mean, do they start Dwight again against Andre Drummond?
Yeah, I think they do.
They're going to get destroyed on the boards.
Yeah, but I think that's just the route I don't know what other route you're going to take. So
yeah, what are your options? Your options are KP, Dwight, Boban, Willie, right? Those are your 4,
yeah.
or Dorian if you want to play a 4 out there. But you have to do some combination of those. Can you do the KP Boban? Can you get away with that? Is KP going to guard Anthony Davis?
He might have to.
He's probably going to foul out in the 15 minutes.
Can AD guard KP though?
Yes. Well.
Dang it.
He can, right? That's what makes AD he's such a unique player. But I think we'll see AD try to throw up a bunch of shots too. They're going to feed him a lot. They're going to be really happy to have him back. And so if he's cold, I mean, this could be a really good time this could be a really good, break for the Mavs, I think.
Yeah, but what about the rhythm of those like rotation that he plays when he's coming back from injury?
Yeah, I don't think he cares about that. I think he just goes in.
But no, I mean, I know we've been hyping up these Lakers games, but they're huge for the standings. If they could go in, at least win one, but if they could walk out of these, 2 games and win both of those games, it would be huge for not just the standings, but just a confidence thing too. And then you have a little win streak growing. Now go the opposite direction. What if they lose both of these games to the Lakers with AD playing 15 minutes a game, and it's Schroeder and Harrell and these guys torching them? At even worse, Andre Drummond is torching them, and they lose. Right. Now we're really raging at that point.
The Mavs are 3.5 games back from the Lakers. So if they win both these games, right, they'll be 1.5 games back from the Lakers. That's
all right. There's still a chance for Dallas to reach 5th.
There is. It's still there if they win these 2 games. Now the Lakers.
I'm only saying at the 34-minute mark, so a lot of you probably tuned out by now. But
statistically, about 40% of you. If the Lakers didn't fall as far as we thought they would, right? Like we thought when AD and LeBron went out, they would fall a little bit farther. They've stayed about 500. They're 2 games under 500 since LeBron's been out. But
Vogel's a good coach.
Vogel's a good coach. Their defense has been solid, even playing, Montrezl Harrell and Schroeder and, and Kuzma and all those guys and KCP, which those last 3 guys are actually solid on defense. But so these games don't mean as much for like tiebreaker scenarios, but it's still a possibility for the Mavs.
Yeah, well, if they win both of them, they have the tiebreaker, right?
They win the tiebreaker, but I'm just saying, if this Lakers team was below the Mavericks in the standings, then I think it would matter a lot to the Mavericks because they're going to get LeBron and AD back at some point, and they're probably going to go on a little run at the end of the season, and they might pass up the Mavs. But yeah, it depends.
Oh well, you're acting like they're a good team or something. They are. They're a good team. They did
win the title. Do I have my? A lot of people ask me this question, so I'll just get it. I'll just tell it on the podcast. I grew up a Lakers fan. People always ask me, "Well, who do you want to see win, the Mavs now or the Lakers?" And this time, totally Mavs. I don't care. Lakers already won the title. Mavs 100%. If the Lakers lose, I don't care.
Do you want money or do you want fandom?
Are you happy because you win, or do you win because? And with that, we'll break it down. We'll be on Locker Room today. We'll do a breakdown of this game. Guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're not. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.